I remember having a school assembly. That's like when they bring everyone from your year or everyone in the school, if you have a small school, and they sit you down in front of a teacher or one teacher that has like a talk about a certain subject. And we were on the topic of studying because exams were coming up and they're all talking about how you're going to feel pressure, this and that, you need to be studying, all of this. And she started giving recommendations out to students that haven't started studying yet. And her advice was if you're just getting started, study for just 25 minutes and then take a 5 minute break. If you're watching this video, I would hope that you would know that that is bullshit. It's not actually how you want to study, and there's many reasons to why you don't, but the main thing is that by the time you do your 25 minutes, you're going to feel like you're in a flow, like you've locked into a task and you feel like time is flying by, and then all of a sudden your timer goes off and 5 minute break. And it's just so easy to break flow that way. So that was when I realized that firstly my teachers don't know that much if they're recommending that. I spent so much time researching the best way you can study, best way to take breaks, and so on, and I'd like to share that with you in this video. My name is Nikia, and I help young guys on their journey to reach their sporting and academic goals through self-improvement. If this sounds like a community for you, make sure you like and subscribe. It's a win-win for the both of us. If you want one-to-one coaching, then check out the link in the description. Also, last thing before we get started, it would help you a lot to watch this video from the start to the finish to make sure you don't miss out any tips that I'm giving, and make sure you can take away the most that you can from this video. So full screen it, stop scrolling for those comments, and sit back, enjoy, relax this video. So like I said, I was doing a lot of research on how to actually get good at studying and how to be able to stay consistent at it, and that includes taking breaks. Because it's nice to take a break, but for some reason, whenever I used to take breaks, I would just not get back to the task. I would take the break and I could not bring myself back to flow state to study. And I managed to find a couple ways around that, which I'm going to share with you in this video. So by researching, I found that most people on average, right, this is a global average, can only study for around an hour and a half, or not study, but be in deep focus for around an hour and a half blocks of time. And the maximum that this average goes to is 4.5 hours, so you can be in this 1 hour and a half block 3 times a day. Now that sounds great, and I was reading it thinking that's a good amount of study time, right? 4.5 hours a day, that would be incredible if you can do it. But back then I was like, how the hell am I meant to focus for an hour and a half 3 times a day? That's a long amount of time. And I was struggling with just getting down an hour. So knowing this, I thought, okay, now I know that it's not just me that can't study that long. I'm going to be able to now progressive overload to get to that stage. And if you don't know what progressive overload means, it's a term in the gym that it basically yields more muscle as you improve on reps or weight. So in the gym, if 1 week you're benching 80 kilos for 10, then the next week you're going to want to bench 80 kilos for 11, so on. Or you can add weight, 81 kilos for 10. Same thing applies here, but with time. So we want to spend more time actually studying. So I started off with 50-minute blocks, and you would add 5 minutes, 10 minutes every time you would feel comfortable with that period of time. After, like, your head doesn't hurt, for example, for 50 minutes, then you go back on to 55, or the next week you go on to 55 from 50, so on. And then after you get to that hour and a half, you can start trying 2 sessions, and that's when the break becomes very, very, very important. Obviously, from an hour and a half, I think most people, 5 minutes, just 5 minutes won't be enough, because you've done a lot of hard work, hopefully doing a paper or something along those lines, learning hard content, doing flashcards, memory things, anything that you find helpful. Hopefully a paper though, right? And so you deserve a bit more to just turn off for a bit, but the issue arises that if you do the wrong things during that break, you're going to not be able to get back in, lock into that zone of deep work and keep on going. And it depends on what you do on the break, but for example, if you sit down and just start scrolling, you ain't getting out of that scrolling loop, yeah? You know, me and you both know that it's going to be very difficult to get out of a scrolling habit. So during that break, you can have food, you can check your messages, but you want to stay off of social media. That's the first thing. Now, I've recommended this in a lot of other videos, but study groups are amazing for this. For me, when I was using study groups in maths, I'd have one or two other people with me, and we would set a designated time for our break. So we would finish a paper or two, because by that time I obviously built up my focus, and then study groups always helps you to stay focused on a task if you all have a common goal. And we would give us an hour break, half an hour break. That's what I would recommend, by the way. Half an hour to an hour break is most of the time perfect. So we'd give each other an hour break. I'd go, eat, chill out, do anything else that I want to, and then it would come back at a certain time. This time would be set. You would decide it before you go. For example, if we're going to go on a break at 3:30 to 4:30, we would say, okay, let's cut it off. We just finished the paper. Let's go do something else for an hour. We'll be back at 4:30. Then at 4:30, everyone hops back into the call and you do it. You obviously stay in the call while you're gone, just for accountability's sake, but things like that worked really well for me, and I would hope that it would work well for you as well if you implement it right and you have the right people around you that also have the same goals as you. Now, let me give you a bit of context of why I think these longer breaks work better. If you think about it in school, your lunch break, I'm guessing, should hopefully be between half an hour and an hour. I had half an hour and I still didn't really feel recovered after half an hour, but the whole logic behind it is that 5 minutes isn't really a break, sort of. You kind of can check your phone, but that does more distraction than rejuvenating, you know what I mean? So that's why I think it's better to have half an hour breaks or an hour breaks between your periods of workflow. And obviously I was talking about at the start of this video how you can only build up to an hour and a half. You can push past that with groups. You can get to a point where you can go longer than an hour and a half, and it does get mentally taxing after a while, and I don't think it's sustainable at all in terms of long term. But if you keep to an hour and a half and that is sustainable for you over a long period of time, it's okay. If you're only studying 3 months before an exam, like I left all my stuff to, then you can definitely push that past that 1 hour and a half or 4.5 hours of total studying. And for short-term bursts, it's great to push past it, and I would encourage you to do so as well if it means that you would get better grades. So I hope you enjoyed this short video, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure again you like and subscribe if you found it useful, and leave a comment down below if you have any video suggestions. See you in the next one.